Hello, mathematicians. Can you guess what we're going to be talking about today? You're right. It is subtraction. Just kidding. It's time. We're going to be working on telling time today. So I have this very large clock here. And we're going to just do a little bit of review before we get into talking about telling time. And if we were in the classroom, I would ask you to tell me what do you notice about our clock here. And you would probably raise your hand and say, well, Taylor, I noticed that one hand is a shorter hand and one hand is longer, and you would be correct. So, as a quick review, the short hand is the hour hand, and the long hand is the minute hand. Now, it's a very common error, kind of a mistake that we get the two hands mixed up. So these are called hands of the clock, and this is something that is just easy for us to kind of mix up. So one way that I like to remember that the short hand is the hour hand is the word hour is kind of a shorter word, and the word minute is a longer word. So that just kind of helps me to think, oh, I know the short hand is the hour hand, and the long hand is the minute hand. So just kind of a way for us to remember, because the word hour is short and the word minute is a little bit longer. So the hour hand is the short one and the minute hand is the long one. Now we know that there are 12 digits. There are 12 hours on our clock here. We know that there are 24 hours in the day, so our clock has to go around all the way around twice. But so our shorthand is pointing to the hour, our longhand is the minute, and when the longhand is up at the 12, it is 10 o'clock. And if we were in the classroom, we would do a little practice, and I would give you some little practice clocks, and I would say, show me 10 o'clock. And you would all put your shorthand on the 10 and your longhand on the o'clock. And then I might say, show me 9 o'clock. And we would have to go all the way back, all the way around the circle one time. And then you would all show me 9 o'clock. So our shorthand is pointing to the hour, 9, and our longhand is up at the top, pointing right to the 12. So when we take a look at our minute hand, as we go around the circle, and we're going to go this way. So let's see, we're going to the right. This is called clockwise. The way the clock turns, we're going to the right. And each time we go to the right, each number stands for 5. So this would be 9:05, 9:10, 9:15. Now you'll notice on my clock, it's kind of a teaching clock. It actually has the minutes right next to the number. Most clocks don't have this, but to help us review and practice it, we have our numbers. This is 9:20, 9:25, 9:30. So now we've made it halfway around the clock. Ooh, it's like a fraction. We've made it halfway around and it is 9:30. 9:35 looks like this. 9:40, 9:45. Now, as I'm moving the minute hand and it's getting closer and closer to the next hour, you'll notice my hour hand is moving closer to the 10. Now, it is not 10 o'clock yet, even though it kind of looks like it's pointing to that. It's not 10 o'clock yet, so it's still in the 9 o'clock hour. This is 9:50. Oh, look at that. It covers it up. It's 9:50, 9:55, and now it's 10 o'clock. So now it is 10 o'clock. All right, so for today, let's quickly take a look at our textbook, and we're going to look at telling time after the hour. So here we have a picture of Mr. Lee and his family, and they have dinner at 7:05 p.m. That's a little bit late, but to each his own. What time do you have dinner? So you might think about, my house, we usually have dinner about 5:45 or 6 o'clock. But here they are showing us that this is what 7 o'clock would look like. So here's our shorthand, the hour hand pointing to the 7, the long hand is up at the 12. This is 7 o'clock. And this family has dinner at 7:05. So we put that on our clock here. I was looking at our big clock here. It would look like this. There's 7:05. Now, another way to say 7:05 is 5 minutes after 7 or 5 minutes past 7. So there's a couple different ways to say this. We can say 5 minutes past 7, 5 minutes after 7. You can even say 5 after 7, and that means 5 minutes after 7. All right. Let's see. If we were talking about, here, let's see. We read 9:15. We're kind of looking at this one. So this one, we read 9:15 as 9:15. It is 15 minutes after 9 o'clock. We can also say it is 15 minutes past 9 o'clock. And if you'll notice here, so this would be 9:15. It kind of looks like a fraction, doesn't it? That's kind of neat. So if we look at our clock, we divide it up, right? This is 1/4, this is 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. And remember, 1/4 is also called 1/4. And a quarter, when we're telling time, looks like this. The minute hand is right over here at the 3, and that is quarter. So you can definitely say 15 minutes past 9. You can also say quarter past 9. So anytime the minute hand is pointing to the 3, that's a quarter of an hour. Oh, another thing that's a quarter, right? We know how many quarters make $1. Right? 4 quarters. So it's kind of similar to that. We know 4 quarters make $1. When we're talking about quarters, they're each 25 cents. When we're talking about quarters of an hour, they are, let's see, how many minutes would that be? Yeah, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So quarter of an hour. All right. So for a little practice, we are going to practice reading some clocks telling time after the hour. So for example, 1 o'clock. And then if we go 5 minutes after that, that would be 1:05. Another way to say that is 5 minutes past 1. For this one, if we were looking at 2 o'clock and then we went to 2:30, that would be 30 minutes past 2. Oh, another way of saying 30 minutes past 2, we can say half past 2, because it's like half an hour past 2 o'clock. All right, your homework for today. Let's just kind of look over our homework for today, because this is kind of a newer concept for us. Here we have in our workbook on page 115, it says count in steps of 5 minutes, write the missing numbers. Now here, starting at the 12, you can write the number 0, or you can wait till you get all the way around, and you might have the number 60 at the top. So both of those are actually correct, because if you start at 0, go like this, but if you go all the way around, we would have the number 60. All right, and then we have write the time shown on each clock face. So this part of a clock is called the clock face. So they're showing us what 1 o'clock looks like, and then they're asking us to tell the time. So this is 1:20. So again, something that I usually tell students in the classroom to do is, it's a really prudent idea to skip count by 5s and actually draw arrows on your clock to help you. So this is what I highly recommend. You can do this right in your workbook, is where we have 12. I like to do this when I'm drawing a clock. And this one we were doing 1, looked about like that. So what I like to do on my clock when I'm trying to figure out what time it is, I like to go like this. Well, I know that the minutes are going by 5. Okay, thanks, sweetie. And then I go like that. And then I can skip count and I know the minute hand. And again, that's the long hand, the minute hand. I can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So if that helps you, I would recommend doing that right in your workbook. So you could just do it with your pencil and write 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's a really good idea. Okay, so if you have 1:20, another way to read that would be 20 minutes after 1 o'clock. And that is 1:20. Let's see, the next page, we are matching some times here. And again, the thing to remember is that the shorthand is the hour hand and the long hand is the minute hand. So sometimes when we see this, like for example, this clock, we might think, oh, it's 5:15. But then I've got my hands mixed up. So it's 5 o'clock is not the hour hand is the shorthand. It's 3:25. And they've matched that right to 3:25. And then the last page we have for today is writing the times. And again, the thing to remember here is the hour hand is the shorthand, and the minute hand is the long hand. All right, so maybe we'll just look at one more quickly before I stop this video. Let's look at the bottom 3 together to make sure that we understand how to do this. So this one, sweetie, can you say hi? Sophia wants to say hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. We're learning about time. You learned about time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it almost lunchtime? Okay, I'm just finishing up. All right, so this time we have here the shorthand is in the 4 o'clock hour. So it is 4, and then the long hand is pointing at the 5. If we skip count by 5s, 5, 10, 20, 25. No, that's not right. 5, 10, 15. Did I forget that one? 20, 25. So 4:25. This one would be 4:25 or 25 minutes past 4. This one, let's look at the shorthand, is in the 6 o'clock hour. So the shorthand, it's always kind of going towards the hour, the smaller number. When it's between these two numbers, see how the shorthand is between the 6 and the 7. It's still in the 6 o'clock hour. So this would be 6:40. Another way you can figure this out is using multiplication. The minute hand is pointing to the 8. 8 times 5 is 40. So this would be 6:40. And the last one here, we have the shorthand is between the 9 and the 10. So it's still in the 9 o'clock hour. And then it's pointing, the minute hand is at the 10. And I know 10 times 5 is 50. This would be 9:50. So be careful. This one is 9:50, not 10:50. That would kind of be the tricky part. All right. Good luck, students, and I will see you again soon. Bye.